to Off the Book, Beyond Fiction, the brand new groundbreaking radio event where facts set free by fiction
and fiction goes far, far beyond fact.
I am Dede Morgan.
And I am Freddie Bones.
And together we are... Dede Morgan.
And I'm Freddie Bones, that's all there is.
For now.
Okay, anyway, welcome back to
Off the Book, Beyond Fiction. We're back!
We're back, Dede, how are you? It's been so long.
So long. This is really strange. I mean, it feels really strange, isn't it?
Yes, it's really strange, and I feel kind of jitterbugs butterflies in my belly, really, don't you?
We're a little nervous because we haven't been doing this for a year.
Yes, I think it's more than a year. And, well, what can you tell us about your holidays?
Well, they have been half good.
Yes, mine have been good. Yes.
You've recently come from the mountains here in Argentina for all...
come from Cordoba.
Oh, great.
Yes. Our mountains, our Argentinian mountains, which are so beautiful and so inspiring to write so many things, so much poetry and
Have you been writing anything at all, or reading it perhaps?
Not really during my holidays there, but I'm just inspired to write some things about it. Yeah, mainly poetry because it's so beautiful, so overwhelming.
Yes, the landscape sometimes is really inviting, the same as the sea, for instance.
Yes, these vast spaces that make you feel, that you are so small and that you belong to the world, but you are so small that you are meaningless.
You are overwhelmed by the landscape. The same happens to me at the sea. Yeah, I went on holiday for a week and a half, let's say, to the sea, and I brought my books, two, and I bought one there, and I took one from home, and I took a notebook too. But I think I only made some sketches. I didn't really write anything. I mean, what can you write in a week and a half when you're on holiday?
I don't think you can write much. I also took one of my books. It's a novel by J.K. Rowling, one of my favorite authors.
Oh, please comment on that.
Yes. Oh, yes. I found it really, really, really entertaining and good. It's a very good novel, and I am going to write something regarding the novel, some kind of a review or something.
What's the title of that again?
The Casual Vacancy.
Oh, The Casual Vacancy. I must thank you for this post you did on my Facebook account, my Facebook wall. It was a speech by J.K. She had the commencement address.
Yes, the commencement speech on Harvard on 2008.
Yes, 2008, yes. And I printed that speech. It came for me in a moment in my life. Yes. I needed to hear a message full of hope because.
Yes. I found it entertaining, moving, serious, funny at the same time.
It's full of jokes, and it creates lots of different emotions. Like for instance, you feel like nostalgia, and then you feel like laughing because she makes lots of jokes regarding Harry Potter and other stuff, and I really liked it.
She's someone I really look up to as a writer because I think she's a tremendous writer, and maybe if she writes bestsellers, that doesn't mean that she is a bad writer.
No, since you made that recommendation to me, and now that it's just came up in this radio show at Off the Book, I would like to recommend it to all those who haven't read it. It's not a long speech. It's available for watching on YouTube. I think it's 20 minutes long or...
Yes, some 21 minutes, and it's also, you can find it to read online.
Right.
You can Google it, and
exactly.
It will come up really easily.
And then you can print it because we should recommend it. It's from 2008 at Harvard, and J.K. Rowling was invited to deliver this speech, the commencement address, for all those who were graduating, and it's awesome. You should really, really get into that. Even if you don't like Harry Potter, for instance, I mean, I like it, but I haven't read all the books.
That's something independent from her novels. even though it shows some of her writing skills, I think.
A lot. I mean, I like her. I think I like her life more than I like her
Yes.
novels.
Yes, it's really inspiring, I think.
It's really inspiring.
The way that she was so poor and then she was able to overcome this tremendously depressing situation in which she lived,
Yes.
which she says in the speech, but you should listen to it.
And now we're going to stop talking about
Yes.
JK, although we really are fond of her, especially Freddie. And, well, he's going to give you some contact details for our program of the book Beyond Fiction.
Yes. Remember, you can contact us through the following media. You can write an email to us to offthebook.bf@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at off_the book.
Or you can also contact us, something else you can do, at our blog off-thebook.blogspot.com. By the way, this is something absolutely strictly confidential, but I am going to say it on air. I don't remember the password of all these accounts.
I do remember, so you're safe, my dear.
Because we shouldn't give too many details, I know, but the password is really connected with you, someone you're especially fond of as a fan, I know, but I can't remember the name of this person, of the second name or whatever.
Yes, then I will tell you.
Please never forget. Okay, so we're developing some changes in our roadmap for this radio show. Would you like to tell our audience a little bit
Yes.
about it?
The first thing we're going to do is read some quotes by our guest author.
Which we are not going to tell who it is.
Yes, of course, and maybe it's in a way to warm up to the rest of the show, and for you maybe to guess who the author is.
Yes, even if you don't guess, we are at least creating a little bit of suspense, which is what we want to do and what this
And-
author does all the time.
Yes, and in this case, suspense is very. It comes as very useful now because the author we are going to deal is a master of suspense.
And it's also a must, I mean, as regards literature.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, shall I start reading the quotes?
Yes.
Another person this time, but a figure of quite as unmistakable horror and evil. A woman in black, pale and dreadful, with such an air also, and such a face, on the other side of the lake. I was there with the child, quiet for the hour, and in the midst of it she came. Both the children had a gentleness, it was their only fault, and it never made miles enough, that kept them, how shall I express it, almost impersonal and certainly quite unpunishable. They were like those cherubs of the anecdote, who had, morally at any rate, nothing to whack.
Catherine was decidedly not clever. She was not quick with a book, nor indeed with anything else. She was not abnormally deficient, and she mastered learning enough to acquit herself respectably in conversation with the contemporaries, among whom it must be avowed, however, that she occupied a secondary place. Her deepest desire was to please him, and her conception of happiness was to know that she had succeeded in pleasing him. She had never succeeded beyond a certain point, though on the whole he was very kind to her. She was perfectly aware of this, and to go beyond the point in question seemed to her really something to live for. What she could not know, of course, was that she disappointed him, though on 3 or 4 occasions the doctor, her father, had been almost frank about it.
I will, and I will, cried the ladies whose departure had been fixed. Mrs. Griffin, however, expressed the need for a little more light. Who was it she was in love with? The story will tell, I took upon myself to reply. Oh, I can't wait for the story. The story won't tell, said Douglas, not in any literal, vulgar way.
He is not what I call a gentleman. He has not the soul of one. He's extremely insinuating, but it's a vulgar nature. I saw through it in a minute. He's altogether too familiar. I hate familiarity. He's a plausible coxcomb. What I tell you is the result of 30 years of observation, and in order to be able to form that judgment in a single evening, I have had to spend a lifetime in study.
This person proved, on her presenting herself for judgment at a house in Harley Street, that impressed her as vast and imposing. This prospective patron proved a gentleman, a bachelor, in the prime of life, such a figure as had never risen, save in a dream or an old novel, before a flattered, anxious girl out of a Hampshire vicarage.
It must be deucedly pleasant for a plain, inanimate girl like that to have a beautiful young fellow come and sit down beside her and whisper to her that he is her slave, if that is what this one whispers. No wonder she likes it, and that she thinks me cruel tyrant, which of course she does, though she is afraid. So that's it. This is the introduction we prepared for you.
Yes, we hope you have liked it, and so now we will plunge ourselves into the show proper.
Perhaps we should tell our audience which works we've been discussing and who is the author in order to give some biographical details, don't you think?
Okay. The pieces we have been reading are from The Turn of the Screw
And from Washington Square.
by the amazing, astounding, I don't know how many adjectives to use to describe him, Henry James.
By Henry James, who was American and still wrote about the British a lot.
Yes. So that's why we have decided to include him in our American authors season. Yes.
Right. Yes, we forgot to say our first season was Jane Austen, Oscar Wilde, who was Irish, but well, we still included him in
the British Isles authors.
Exactly. Jane Austen, Oscar Wilde, and
The Brontes.
the
Right.
Bronte sisters.
Sisters.
A particular choice from my friend and co-presenter.
Yes, I like her. She doesn't, but anyway.
You like them.
Yes, particularly Charlotte.
I like particularly Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, and that's
Yes.
my whole point about loving them.
Oh my God. Well, I like Emily a little, but her novel is quite violent. We have discussed it.
So our current author, guest author today, this season, the first program for our second series is Henry James, and now Freddie will give us some biographical details we should not skip.
Well, of course, Henry James was born in the 19th century. He was born in 1843 and died in 1916, well, into the following century. He was fond of the British culture, even though he had been born in America.
Right, and well, we should say that while he was living in Paris, he associated with Flaubert, the author of Madame Bovary.
Yes, Madame Bovary.
Bovary, right? Emma Bovary. By the way, we're listening to the soundtrack of the film of the
Emma, but not Bovary.
not Bovary, but Woodhouse. Well, Henry James admired Emerson and George Eliot's comprehensive realism and considered Balzac, and this I must say I agree with, he considered Balzac the master of us all.
Well, that's a very complimentary thing to say. Now, he left an autobiographical fragment, which is Terminations. There is a vast, rather psychoanalytically dated biography by Leon Edel, which can prove a good thing to read if you want to know something more about the life of Henry James.
And with this last amazing biographical detail, we are anticipating our first cut in this show because we've skipped the one we're actually
we were supposed to
going
make.
to make. But since
But it doesn't matter because it's the first show of the season, so
yes, and this is absolutely spontaneous. I mean, we don't have a script for all we're saying. We just have lots of papers, and then we're going to take some pictures, which you will be able to see at our blog if you want to check all this. So, last biographical detail before we go to some what do you call it in English? Is it, what do you call it?
section.
No, but what do you call the pause that you make in a radio show?
I don't know. A cut, a
Well,
break.
A break, exactly.
That's-
The word escaped me.
Okay.
Sorry. So this is a Did You Know section, and we extracted these details since we were in such a hurry we could not actually write them ourselves from The Guardian. Did you know that James' sexuality has been much discussed? Well, he explained his celibacy by saying that to be led to the marriage bed is to be dead. What do you think, Fred? Have you been married at all? Anyway.
This far I have never been married, and really don't know if I want to be now that I hear that James wrote this about marriage. It's not very
What?
I don't know. The word escapes me now.
Such mystery. All right.
Alright.
So
It
he
doesn't
lost.
matter.
he lost his own train of thought. That's actually quite ordinary.
May happen.
At stage, on air, everywhere you're on the spot. So
I got the word. It's not very optimistic.
right, exactly. I think he was being ironic. I don't trust his words. You should never trust a writer's words, even
Never trust a cunning fox.
and least of all when you're serious, when they are being serious. I mean, he's the kind of writer, like Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain. You should never trust irony and sarcasm.
Well,
We're going to a break.
We're going to a break.
Yeah, and we are listening, so I'm saying it again, to the soundtrack of Emma, which was done 2009.
2009 BBC version of Jane Austen's novel.
Emma, right. So we're coming back, so stay booked.
Stay booked.
Hi. That was not inside. So, sorry for that. We are back with this wonderful soundtrack. I really love it. But if we turn the volume up even higher, then we will not be able to listen to our own voice. So, we are back.
Yes. And in this section, we are going to plunge into our juicy discussions and gripping debates. And we have chosen two novels to discuss. One, I will take on one, and Didi will take on another one. I have chosen The Turn of the Screw, and Didi has chosen Washington Square.
That's right.
Yes.
Would you like to start? Or?
Well, first of all, I would like to talk about the plot of the novel, The Turn of the Screw.
Is there any turn or any screw in the plot?
Well, not in a literal way, but well, then I will talk about this, but it's just about the way that the novel is told.
So it's kind of a metaphorical title. That's the difference with Washington Square, you know.
Yes. I think that it's kind of meta-literary, meta-novel.
Wow.
Yes, very technical. Yes. Well, the novel is it begins with a group of men and women who are telling horror stories, and well, one of them tells the story of a governess who is hired by a bachelor.
What's the governor's name?
We never come to know.
We never come to know. When I read it, I didn't realize that. I read the novel, I didn't realize there was no name.
So when you refer to her, it's the governess. It's she. It's never Miss something. It's never nothing. It's the governess. Well, she's hired by a bachelor to take care of his niece and nephew, and well, while she's there, she's put in charge of the house, and the master who hires her tells her not to go back to him and not disturb him for anything in the world. So she's put in charge of the house, and while she's she's taking care of the boys, two, a girl and a boy, Flora and Miles. She starts to see ghosts in the house. Ghosts start to appear, and well, then she realizes that the kids behave oddly, according to her. There is another character who is Mrs. Gross. She's kind of
I think it's the confidant
yes,
of the governess.
Yes,
right?
she's a confidant, and she has some position in the house too. And well, she's the one who tells the governess who the ghosts may be. And well, the thing is that the governess is the only one to actually see the ghosts.
But does she see them, or does she picture them in her own mind?
That's the thing, because she says she sees them, and we are told the novel in first person, so we are told from the point of view of the governess what is happening, what's going on.
I think point of view is a term that has been constantly used by literary criticism when it comes to Henry James.
Yes. And in this novel it's particularly important because we are told from the point of view of the governess. So we, together with the governess, see the ghosts, but no other character in the novel sees the ghosts. So it comes as a very odd and weird thing. Do the ghosts...
And certainly very confusing.
Yes. Do the ghosts actually exist? Are they there? Are they influencing the children like the governess tells us they do?
Well, I think the novel is a little boring.
Do you think?
I mean, for me, I can't understand how it could have created such a revolution in society and readers. But I suppose that's my viewpoint from a contemporary era. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's a little boring. I didn't really enjoy it. I liked other stuff by Henry James. I like more irony and humor in Henry James.
When I read it, I thought it was quite slow-paced, and you know, there is this never-ending thing. Do the ghosts exist? Don't they? Do they influence the children? Don't they? What the fuck is going on here?
Exactly, and the worst for me is that it never really comes to the conclusion. I mean, I really cannot decide, and that doesn't create a nice feeling in my perception of a book. I mean, I like an ending, even if the ending is not what I expected. I like it to end.
To have an ending. Now, what I value about this novel is the way in which it is written. I think it is not easy at all to create a work which is so ambiguous.
Well, for me it is very easy. I mean, you create a couple of characters, they are not very much well designed, and then you make them talk about something and use a lot of presuppositions, like and a lot of verbal illusion and all that kind of stuff. For example, like I said, hey, did you know that? And you said, yes, that. And then I say, all right, yes, but do you think so? I say, so. It's like there are lots of words that reveal there's something implicit, but they don't tell you what it is. I mean, for me, it's very easy. I don't see the witchy part. I'm sorry. I mean, I love Henry James, but
of course, it's okay. But there are so many details in the novel that may hint one way or another. You have to be very aware. You have to read in between the lines.
And even if you do, there are many ways of reading it.
Yes, and critics are very divided, and they haven't come to terms whether the ghosts exist or not. And that's what I think that Henry James was a master at in this novel, particularly. He was able to create ambiguity to the level that to a level that even to this day critics have been unable to agree what has happened. Because in the may I tell what happens in the end?
I don't mind. I hope our audience won't.
Well, because in the end, a child dies, and we don't even know if it's because one of the ghosts have killed him or.
For me, it's pretty clear. For me, she, the governess, is taking the breath out of the boy without actually realizing.
So you think that she
kills him without even realizing.
You're a believer in the psychological version of the novel that thinks that the governess is creating the ghost.
Yes, and I think that the children with their own sixth sense are taking notice of the fact that she's imagining things, and so they make fun of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, that's one point of view, and that's very respectable. But, well, there is this endless discussion in which you may well or may not as well also get a grip on.
I'm going to skip a little bit of the following section, of the following section, which is a surprise section, and I'm going to ask you a question. It's supposed to be a joke, and you're supposed to laugh. Since Fred doesn't really know what I'm going to come up with, so you should laugh. Well, this is the question I have got for you.
I'm already laughing, really.
Why has Henry James never written a second part of his best-known novel, The Turn of the Screw?
I don't really know.
Come on, try to think of something.
I don't know, because Miles died and there was no point. I don't know.
You're being too rational. Yes. Well, why? Well, because he would have screwed it up. The Turn of the Screw.
That's true. That one's really funny, really. Yeah.
That's the best joke I have. The others are, worse than this.
Oh my god, no, but it's really funny. Yes, I love puns, so...
It's kind of fun. Okay, so Washington Square, that's my bit. Washington Square is a story of long-held hopes and expectations, which eventually results in a man's fruitless attempts to conquer an heiress fortune. He does, however, conquer her heart due to his charming looks and irresistible tone and seductive manners. He gains her heart, but to the lover's frustration, the young girl's father, Dr. Sloper, that's his name in the novel, can see it coming. He knows this man is only after his daughter's fortune, and as soon as he finds out that Maurice Townsend, that's the coxcomb's name, is penniless, unscrupulous, and a fortune hunter, the father will set his heart on discouraging his daughter Catherine from the idea of marrying him. So he may appear a little cruel at first. I don't know what you think.
Well, the character seems very cruel, but I was going to say that many of the elements that you have been mentioning remind me of someone else we have already dealt with and whom you like a lot. When I hear marriage, when I hear fortune, when I hear heiress, a father who is angry and who wants to protect his daughter, I am reminded of, I cannot help but being reminded of our beloved Jane Austen, of course.
Yes, well, I must say that my attraction for this novel is rooted in the fact that I think in both content and style it is quite similar to Jane Austen's motives and rhetorical devices. I even wrote an essay, which I still haven't published, on the similarities you can track between one of Jane Austen's novels and this novel, Washington Square by Henry James.
Yes, and besides the name, I think is one of the main similarities, which is Washington Square, and we have Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. So I think there is a parallelism there.
And Northern Abbey, another place for the
yes.
Exactly for the title. Well, let me tell you what Henry James thought about Jane, or what he wrote. He says, Jane Austen, with all her light felicity, leaves us hardly more curious of her process or of the experience in her that fed it, than the brown thrush who tells his story from the garden bough. She is one of those in whose favour discrimination has long since practically operated. She is in fact a signal instance of the way it does, with all its embarrassments, at last infallibly operate. Well, he talks about her in a way that she's not actually so much graced or favoured by his words.
From what I gather, he was not very fond of Jane Austen. He thought she was rather silly, stupid, maybe superficial. He was not flattered when he was compared to her, even though I think he might well have been inspired by his work. I don't know what you, as a Jane Austen and Henry James, may I say fan, believe? Well,
No.
lover, I don't
I'm not a
know.
fan. Well, the word fan applies to me when it comes to Downton Abbey, for instance. But
Yeah, and maybe Becky Bloomwood.
and from something a little bit more commercial. I mean, something I get a little addicted to.
I agree, even though I couldn't come with a better word.
I
So
know.
I had to say fan. Sorry.
Okay, you are forgiven.
I don't know why I'm speaking like Maggie Smith.
You know-
Oh my god!
and you know that Maggie Smith starred in the film Washington Square.
Don't tell me!
She was embodying Aunt Pennyman, which is a key character in the story, because this aunt is the one that makes Catherine, the protagonist in Washington Square, believe that the guy is in love with her, when in fact the guy all he wants is the girl's fortune.
So, is she a good or a bad character? I mean, is she evil?
I mean, she's not exactly evil, but she has certain devilish features, and she's a feather-brained character. I mean, what can a feather-brained character do? Well, probably evil, but then she's kind of, I don't know, innocent in a way, because she's so fairy tale-like. I mean, she sees the world in pink. I mean, that's all she gets to see. An anecdote as regards Washington Square, how the idea originally came to Henry James, and then we're going to do some dramatization on both works from Washington Square and from the Turn of the Screw. So, Henry James got the idea for this novel in a very strange sort of way, which is not really strange if you come to think that most writers draw their characters and plots from reality.
Yes.
So he was in a gathering, a social gathering, and he had a friend, Fanny Campbell.
Sorry. May I say that authors draw their characters and situations from real life, except for Stephanie Meyer. She draws them from her dreams, really.
Does she? I know nothing about her, and I wish to know very little.
Twilight, as you may already know, comes. She dreamed of the story, and then she sat down and started writing. No research, no investigation, no nothing, and that's the
you
way she
need-
wrote Twilight.
You need
And that shows the quality of her work, really. I'm not saying that it's bad, actually, because it works. Commercially, it works. But I'm really not fond of that kind of writing. I think that it requires a lot of effort, which she didn't take.
Well, you know, she sells well. Perhaps that's all that matters to her. And there's Stephen King, who had a very famous quote. I don't exactly remember that something like Stephanie Meyer's story is like Harry Potter, but with another teenage kiss. And
I remember the quote. I think it was that Harry Potter is about finding inner strength when it's all bad, and to, and to fight evil and to be good, no matter what. And Twilight is about finding a perfect boyfriend. That's
that's so funny. I mean, it's exactly what I think.
Yeah.
Which is not that bad. I mean, if you really need to find it in fiction. Okay, so
but maybe we could discuss this woman some other time.
yes, and I think I would be discussing it always from the same point of view. I mean, I'm a little not open-minded. What do you call it?
Narrow-minded?
No, exactly the opposite. Narrow-minded when it comes to Mayer. I would be the interviewer, and you would be the interviewee.
Yes, I don't like her either as a writer.
But have you read her story?
No.
So we couldn't discuss her unless we did from a very superficial, skeptical point of view.
Yes, but I wouldn't dare read her work either.
Oh.
No, I'm really not fond, because I think what she did when she wrote Twilight is disrespectful to writers, to writing, to literature. I think it's disrespectful.
Okay, so you're a little bit of a diehard. I mean, you believe in research before writing or while writing, right?
I think it's necessary, essential, really.
Okay, I hear the man talking about fairy tales in his books.
Yes, I like writing fairy tales, but you have to do some research.
Freddy does a lot of research. He takes his work very seriously.
Do you think? Thank you, my dear.
Which is
I take it seriously, but I also mock my own work. I usually include some humor when I write.
which is good and bad. I mean, you should let yourself be through, I think. All right, so back to Henry James, then we go to another break,
Yeah.
and we'll have improvisation. So Henry James, in 1879, he was at this social gathering, and Fanny Campbell, a friend of his, shared an anecdote. That's my co-presenter, Catherine. Sorry, he had a friend who told her. Would you like some water?
No, thank you. It's okay.
Okay. The friend of his told him about a dull, plain, commonplace girl whose fortune was very large and whom her own brother was about to conquer. He, the brother, had abandoned the girl when the father threatened to disown her, which is exactly what happens in Washington Square. And then he went so far as to say that she herself had advised a young woman by no means to marry her brother. That is, a sister advising a woman not to marry her own brother. This is exactly what happens in Washington Square. I really recommend this novel because it has an absolutely unexpected ending, and because it's not a happy ending. I really liked it. I mean, that's a great difference, a stark difference when it comes to Jane Austen. And that's all I have to say for the time being about Washington Square.
Shall we go to a break now?
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to do some dramatizations of both the novels we have been discussing.
We are back at Off the Book Beyond Fiction.
Here we are, and now, as we promised before going to the break, we are going to do some dramatization, some performing arts we are bringing into Off the Book. Stage performances, or rather microphone performances on stage.
And the first time we did this was with Oscar Wilde.
Yes. Now, the first thing we're going to dramatize is an excerpt from The Turn of the Screw, once again. In this excerpt, the governess is talking to Miles, which is the boy whom is under her care.
Okay, so shall we start?
Okay. I'm going to be Miles, and Dee Dee is going to be the governess. She doesn't take care of me, but anyway. I say, you there, come in. Well, what are you up to?
How did you know I was there?
Why, of course I heard you. Did you fancy you made no noise? You're like a troop of cavalry.
Then you weren't asleep?
Not much. I lay awake and think.
What is it that you think of?
What in the world, my dear, but you?
Ah, the pride I take in your appreciation doesn't insist on that. I had so far rather you slept.
Well, I think also, of this queer business of ours.
Of what queer business, Miles?
Why, the way you bring me up and all the rest.
What do you mean by all the rest?
Oh, you know. You know. Well, that's a piece from The Turn of the Screw. which I really like because it shows how Miles speaks in an ambiguous way, which is kind of the way that children speak. You know, in their innocent speaking, which is so simple. Sometimes we adults find double entendres and double meanings hidden, which are not really happening because they don't see that double meaning. It's our perverted psyche that does.
One thing I like of this novel is the way. I mean, this is my perception, right? That children play all the time with the governess's temper and her emotional character. I think they hold her on a string all the time. I think they are the ones that govern the governess.
Yes, may well be. And I think that they have like a sixth sense and they know what's going on in the governess's head.
Okay, and now we're going to dramatize a little bit of longer scene from Washington Square. This is chapter 35. For introduction, I would only like to say that this is a very dramatic scene because Maurice Townsend, the gentleman in question, comes back after a couple of years of having disposed of the heiress he expected to marry, when the heiress's father is dead, when she has already inherited her fortune, has never married, never will, and he comes up unexpectedly, invited, of course, by Aunt Pennyman, which is the character we were just mentioning about Maggie Smith. So, Fred is going to personify, to say the least, the gentleman, and I'm going to personify, to say the least, the lady. All right. So, a couple of quotes from the same chapter, and then we start. It was the old voice, but it had not the old charm.
Why had he come? It was wrong for him to come.
It seemed to be he, and yet not he. It was the gentleman who had been everything, and yet this person was nothing.
Will you not sit down?
I think we had better not.
I offend you by coming.
I don't think you ought to have come.
Can we not be friends again?
We are not enemies. I have none but friendly feelings for you.
I wonder whether you know the happiness it gives me to hear you say that. You have not changed. The years have passed happily for you.
They have passed quietly.
Well, but they have left no marks. You're admirably young. Catherine, I have never ceased to think of you.
Oh, please don't say those things.
Do you hate me?
Oh, no.
Have you still some kindness for me, then?
I don't know why you have come here to ask me such things.
Because for many years it has been the desire of my life that we should be friends again.
That is impossible.
Why so? Not if you will allow it.
I will not allow it.
I see. My presence troubles you and pains you. I will go away, but you must give me leave to come again.
Please don't come again.
Never. Never. Ah, dearest lady, you do me injustice. We have only waited, and now we are free.
You treated me badly.
Not if you think of it rightly. You had your quiet life with your father, which was just what I could not make up my mind to rob you of.
Yes, I had that.
Catherine, have you not forgiven me?
I forgave you years ago, but it is useless for us to attempt to be friends.
Oh, for Christ's sake! Not if we forget the past. We have still a future, thank God.
I can't forget. I don't forget. You treated me too badly. I feel it very much. I felt it for years. I can't begin again. I can't take it up. Everything is dead and buried. It was too serious. It made a great change in my life. I never expected to see you here.
You're angry then?
No, I am not angry. Anger does not last that way for years. But there are other things. Impressions last when they have been strong, but I can't talk.
Why have you never married? You have had opportunities.
I didn't wish to marry.
Yes, you are rich, you are free, you had nothing to gain.
I had nothing to gain.
Well, I was in hopes that we might still have been friends.
I meant to tell you by my aunt that it wasn't necessary for you to come in that hope.
Goodbye, then. Excuse my indiscretion. That was a precious plan of yours.
Was it very dry, dear?
But why the deuce, then, would she never marry?
Yes, why indeed? But you will not despair. You will come back.
Come back? Damnation! And Maurice Townsend strode out of the house, leaving Mrs. Penniman staring.
Okay, so that's
Excellent performance, Didi.
yeah. So we are praising ourselves because nobody else will.
Nobody else will, so.
Okay. So this was it's a bit of an adaptation. In fact, I think that drama possessed you for a moment. You added a couple of words like "for Christ's sake" or something
Yes.
of the sort.
Yes, I added some, yes, for the sake of, of making it more juicy and spicy and all these things.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed it. I hope you have enjoyed it as well. This is from Washington Square and Turn of the Screw. Now we're going for our last section, the surprise section, in which Fred will surprise me and I will surprise him with another couple of jokes, and we will surprise you, we hope, all together. So, what is your surprise element, I wonder?
Well, I have brought some quotes by Henry James, which I found on the internet. In fact, I don't know whether they were meant as humorous, but I found them very funny and somewhat silly anyway. So here we go. The first one that Henry James said is, "I adore adverbs. They are the only qualifications I really much respect."
Okay.
I don't know, maybe he didn't like receiving awards or anything, but he liked adverbs.
Okay, well, that's, I mean, strange a little bit. I mean, it's a witty kind of humor, which can turn it into a non-humorous bit sometimes, but yeah, it's funny.
Then there is another one which goes like this. 3 things in human life are important. The first one is to be kind. The second and third one are to be kind.
This sounds more like Oscar Wilde's quotes.
And there is another one which I find really, really stupid. I think you're going to laugh a lot. And it goes like this. Cats and monkeys. Monkeys and cats. All human life is there.
I'm still thinking about it.
Yes,
Cats and monkeys, I mean, what
cats
does...
and monkeys and cats, all human life is there.
What has that got to do with
I
anything?
think add another animal, really.
Okay, I'm wondering.
Yes. Cuckoo! I don't know.
And wolves. And vampires.
And maybe nuts because he's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Alright. Do you have another one?
No, that's it.
Okay.
They were really silly quotes. Maybe.
Oh, my cheeks hurt me. I mean, I'm smiling too much.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe if you read them in context, they make some sense. But like this, I think they were really funny when I read them for the first time.
Well, for my jokes, you must bear in mind the 2 works we have been discussing on this first edition of our second series, which are Washington Square and The Turn of the Screw. So, the first joke is done, I mean. So, this is the second one. They're all questions. What's Henry James' favorite capital city in the world?
Maybe Washington, D.C.?
Oh, you guessed my joke.
Yes, I did. It was too easy.
I mean, it wasn't probably because he loved the British, but, you know, I was out of it by this time. I mean, after the first one, about the Turn of the Screw and Screening Time, I was like out of bounds.
I don't know. No, it is funny anyway, but it's quite
Obvious.
easy.
Okay. And this is another one which is very obvious. What's Henry James' favorite geometric figure?
I don't know.
The square.
Oh my god, I was going to say the hexagon because of the screws which are hexagonal.
Oh, you're thinking too much. I was thinking a little less in Washington Square, you know. Okay, and what was Henry James' favorite Shakespearean play?
I know quite a lot by Shakespeare, but Romeo and Juliet, Much Ado About Nothing, Hamlet. I don't know.
Henry VIII.
Oh my god, that one is really really good. I think yes, very good. Well,
Okay, so
shall we go to a break, to a final break, and then we come back? We're going to do some kind of closing to the season.
We're to the season.
Not to the season, but to the season episode, I think.
Alright.
Well, we're going to a break.
Stay booked. So we are back at Off the Book, Beyond Fiction with Freddie Bones and Gigi Morgan. Remember, you can contact us through different media, for instance, at our blog thebook.blogspot.com or at Twitter _thebook. And now we're going to somehow try to do some greetings. I'm still laughing from our past little last section, from surprise section. I hope you have enjoyed the program. We have.
Yes, of course we have. It's been funny. I think it's been packed with what we always kind of do.
With juicy discussions.
Literary debates which are gripping.
Yeah.
And by funny comments, which is actually what we want to grasp about literature, that it's fun. Maybe
Have you
mostly.
been thinking about our next author? Because I have 3 authors in mind, a female one and 2 males.
Well, I have thought of some, but I don't know because I haven't read a novel from them, so it's kind of nerve-wracking, let's say. I have thought of Louisa May Alcott, which
That one, I want her. I want her in the show, whether it be now or next year.
yes, I remember reading a version of Little Women when I was young, and I loved the novel, and so I would like to read it for the show.
And I've only read the first part, but there's Little Wives, I think, and that's the one I'm missing. So we would still be, in the same boat, given the fact that we haven't actually read the works.
Yes, and I would also like to read Little Men, which is
That would be really funny.
yes, that she was maybe the pioneer of American sagas. She wrote Little Women, Little Wives, Little Men, little dogs, puppies. I don't know.
Yes, and her life is very much. Her books, these books we're mentioning, are quite autobiographical.
So maybe she could be the next to we include.
Maybe or Mark Twain or who else? I don't know. I have been thinking of someone else. I can't. Well, no, it doesn't matter. So, Louisa May Alcott or Mark Twain. Let's see.
Not Stephanie Meyer for sure.
No, not for sure. By the way, we're doing classics, so that's the point. Okay, so we're closing our first edition. We hope you have enjoyed it. Remember to contact us if you will on Twitter. You can just Google Off the Book Beyond Fiction. You'll find us. We're releasing this show this week.
Yes, sometime this week, maybe on Friday or Saturday, I think.
Okay.
So we hope you have enjoyed it. And goodbye and see you.
Farewell.
Farewell.
And stay bold.